अब लाइन लाइना डेट्स, इसमें फाइबर्स और विटामिन्स भी कुदरती हैं, जो देता है स्वास्थ्य भी कुदरती।
लायन लाइना प्रीमियम डेट्स।
नितेश श्रीवास्तव जी सिर्फ 35 साल की उम्र में अचानक एक बीमारी से चले गए। उनकी टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस के पैसे बच्चों की पढ़ाई और घर खर्च में काम आ सकते हैं। पॉलिसी बाजार ने क्लेम के वक्त फैमिली का पूरा साथ दिया। पॉलिसी बाजार पे 2 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 700 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
Scenes from across several Indian cities are raising serious concerns about a growing LPG crisis. Consumers are lining up outside gas agencies, many of them waiting for hours, hoping to secure a refill for their cooking cylinders. What is adding to the confusion is the gap between the government's claim that India has LPG reserves for nearly 70 days and the reality playing out on the ground, where consumers say supplies are becoming increasingly uncertain. The chaos across the country is unfathomable. A ground report from Lucknow shows that the scale of the problem consumers are facing. Our colleague Abhijit Thakur found more than 150 people standing in line outside a gas agency, each hoping to receive a cylinder refill. But by the time distribution ended, only 56 cylinders were available. Nearly 100 people who had waited patiently in the queue were forced to return home without getting a cylinder.
हाँ, किल्लत बहुत है। सब 2-2 बजे से लोग लाइन लगाए।
पहले एक दिन में कितने सिलेंडर आते थे, संख्या क्या होती थी?
एक दिन में 400 की सप्लाई आसपास हो जाती थी। हैं? तो जैसे पहले माल गोदाम में भी भरा रहता था, अब गोदाम में भी एक सिलेंडर नहीं बचा। अब ये कस्टमर आते हैं तो क्या करें।
लेकिन लोगों के बीच का डर तो स्वाभाविक है, क्योंकि सप्लाई तो आपके पास कम आ रही है। आप
जी जी जी, वो तो है जी।
और ये जो लोग कह रहे हैं कि एजेंसियों ने गोदाम में रोक लिया है गैस क्योंकि उनको पता है कि आगे नहीं मिलेगा, इस आरोप में कितनी सच्चाई है?
कोई सच्चाई नहीं, हम ताला खोल के दिखा सकते हैं।
आप एक बार दिखा सकते हैं, अगर तो हमें दिखा दीजिए। देखिए, लोग आरोप लगाते हैं कि एजेंसी वाले, गोदाम वाले सिलेंडर को अपने यहाँ रोक ले रहे हैं, भरे हुए सिलेंडर मार्केट में नहीं आने दे रहे हैं, ब्लैक मार्केटिंग हो रही है। यहाँ पर ईमानदारी से ये अपने पूरे गोदाम को खोलकर दिखाने के लिए तैयार है, लेकिन इधर उधर की तस्वीरें भी हम आपको दिखाते हैं। देखिए, कमर्शियल सिलेंडर यहाँ पर खाली वाले पड़े हुए हैं और इनको रिफिल नहीं मिला है। ये तमाम कमर्शियल सिलेंडर हैं जो कि यहाँ पर पड़े हुए हैं, यानी कमर्शियल सिलेंडर के सप्लाई की बात जो कही जा रही है, रोकी गई है, वो सच में रुकी हुई है और यहाँ पर खाली सिलेंडर्स पड़े हुए हैं। दूसरी तरफ भी आप तस्वीरें ये दिखाइए, ये तमाम कमर्शियल सिलेंडर हैं, ये डोमेस्टिक है, इसके आगे कमर्शियल, वहाँ कमर्शियल, और ये भी छोटे कमर्शियल सिलेंडर ही हैं जो कि यहाँ रखे हुए हैं। ये सब खाली सिलेंडर हैं, यानी खाली सिलेंडर है, इनको रिन्यू नहीं किया गया है, रिफिल नहीं मिला है, जिसके कारण ये खाली पड़े हुए हैं। अब हम आते हैं गोदाम के भीतर। जैसा कि कहा जाता है कि रोक लिया है गोदाम वालों ने या फिर ब्लैक मार्केटिंग हो रही है, तो उसकी रियल तस्वीर हम आपको दिखाते हैं। देखिए, ये पूरा का पूरा गोदाम है और जितने सिलेंडर हम देख रहे हैं सारे खाली सिलेंडर हैं। खाली हम देख रहे हैं कि किसी पे भी देखिए कैप नहीं लगा है, किसी के ऊपर भी पैकिंग नहीं है, मतलब कि ये तमाम कमर्शियल सिलेंडर हैं जो कि खाली हालत में पड़े हुए हैं।
The situation in Noida appears just as worrying. Our reporter Puneet Sharma found residents standing outside a gas agency from as early as 4 in the morning in the hope of securing a cylinder before supplies run out.
ईरान के साथ अमेरिका और इजराइल की युद्ध का असर अब भारत पर भी पड़ने लग रहा है। मैं नोएडा के सेक्टर 5 के हरौला इलाके में हूं और यहां पर लंबी लाइन है, लगभग 300 से 400 मीटर, 500 मीटर तक की लंबी लाइन लगी हुई है, जो सुबह से यहां पर महिलाएं, पुरुष, बुजुर्ग अपने बच्चों तक को लेकर के यहां लाइन में खड़े हैं। और ये लाइन है इस वक्त LPG सिलेंडर्स की। सरकार पूरी कोशिश कर रही है, पूरे दावे कर रही है कि जो घरेलू गैस की सप्लाई है वो ठीक तरीके से हो, लोगों को बुकिंग के 2.5 दिन के अंदर सिलेंडर मिल जाए। लेकिन ये जो पैनिक सिचुएशन चल रही है वो इस वक्त तस्वीरों में साफ तौर पर नजर आ रही है। एक बड़ा जो भीड़ है, आप देखेंगे कई सौ लोग इस वक्त सेक्टर 5 में, नोएडा में इस वक्त गैस एजेंसी के बाहर सिलेंडर लेकर के मौजूद हैं, कोशिश में कि उनको सिलेंडर मिल सके। दरअसल जो सिचुएशन आ रही है, कुवैत सबसे ज्यादा 40% गैस की सप्लाई भारत को करता था, वहां उसने पूरी तरीके से जो सप्लाई है भारत को फिलहाल बंद कर दिया है, क्योंकि हॉर्मुज स्ट्रेट से जो शिप्स हैं वो नहीं आ पा रहे हैं। और यही वजह है कि भारत में इस वक्त जो LPG की है वो सप्लाई में कहीं ना कहीं बहुत ज्यादा दिक्कतें आ रही हैं। सरकार कई कदम उठा रही है, लगातार मीटिंग्स कर रही है और उनका यही कहना है कि घरेलू गैस सिलेंडर सबसे पहले लोगों को मिलना चाहिए, पैनिक बुकिंग बिल्कुल भी ना करवाएं। लेकिन यहां पर आप देखेंगे पैनिक सिचुएशन किस तरीके से लोगों के बीच में फैली हुई है और सिलेंडर लेकर के जो लोग हैं, महिलाएं हैं, बुजुर्ग हैं, वो लोग भी यहां पर बैठे हुए हैं। सिलेंडर लेने कितने दिन से आ रही हैं आप?
सिलेंडर हम 4 दिन से दौड़ रहा हूँ।
4 दिन से? 4 दिन से सिलेंडर ही नहीं मिला?
मेरे बच्चे सब भूखे मर रहे हैं।
यहाँ पे आधे मिलते हैं, आधे वापस चले जाते हैं।
रोने की स्थिति, आप तो रोने लगी।
क्या करें, मजबूरी है।
2 बजे से हम लोग आगे खड़े हैं।
कितने बजे से खड़ी है यहाँ?
4 बजे।
4 बजे से खड़ी है। देखिए आलम ये हो चुका है कि अब महिलाओं की आंखों में आंसू आ गए हैं। इनका कहना है कि 4 दिन से सिलेंडर नहीं है, खाना बनाने की दिक्कत आ रही है। स्थिति लोगों की आंखों में अब इस युद्ध की वजह से भारत में आंसू तक आ रहे हैं।
Before I tell you what's driving the LPG crisis anxiety, here's another ground report from Hyderabad.
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं, कुछ पकवान लकड़ी पे भी कर रहे हैं और इलेक्ट्रिक पे भी कर रहे हैं और गैस पे भी कर रहे हैं, उसी तरह हम मैनेज कर लेते जा रहे हैं। लेकिन हमको ये बड़ी तकलीफ़ हो रही है कि ये रमज़ान के आखिरी अयाम में बहुत सारा कस्टमर रहता, क्योंकि इफ्तार पार्टी चलते, घरों में इफ्तार पार्टी होती है, मस्जिदों में, और हिंदू भाइयों के पास भी लोग गिफ्टां भिजाते हैं। उसी तरह बहुत बड़ी तकलीफ़ हो रही है। हम कोशिश तो कर रही है और सारे होटल्स वाले बहुत ज़्यादा हद से ज़्यादा परेशान है कि गैस हमें नहीं मिल रहा बोल रहे हैं, और गैस सप्लायर्स भी वही बोल रहे हैं कि हम क्या करना भाई बोल के।
Another factor adding to the anxiety is the change in refill timeline for certain categories of LPG consumers. The refill gap for rural or the Durgam, Kshetriya, Vitrak and Gramin Vitrak connection has now been extended to 45 days compared to roughly 25 days earlier. Urban consumers, however, continue to have a refill cycle of about 25 days. India is one of the world's largest LPG markets, with demand crossing 28 million tons every year. More than 31 crore connections are active across the country, and a significant share of this demand is met through imports. Rural households typically use about 5 cylinders a year on average, which means even small supply disruptions can quickly affect millions of families. All of this is happening even as the government maintains that India currently has enough LPG reserve for nearly 70 days. If that claim holds true, the shortages and long queues seen across cities raise an important question about whether the issue lies not in availability but in distribution. LPG war also reached Parliament, where leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi crossed swords with Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri.
A very large portion of our oil and natural gas comes through the Strait of Hormuz. The pain has just started. Restaurants are closing. There's widespread panic about LPG. Street vendors are affected. And as I said, this is only the beginning.
India's crude supply position is secure and volumes secured exceed what the Hormuz would have delivered. Before the crisis, approximately 45% of India's crude imports transited through the Hormuz route. Thanks to the Honorable Prime Minister's outstanding diplomatic outreach and goodwill, India has secured crude volumes that exceed what the disrupted Strait of Hormuz could have delivered in the same period. Non-Hormuz sourcing has risen to approximately 70% of crude imports, up from 55% before the conflict began.
So the question is whether India is prepared for the scenario where war does not end quickly. I am joined by Professor Bijon Misra, consumer policy expert. So thank you so much for joining you. Let me take an opening comment before I dip into a break, sir. You have seen the crisis which I reported from various cities, authentic reports. What is spurring this LPG issue? Where is the bottleneck, sir? Just put it bluntly.
Yeah, the bottleneck is inefficient working of the state government. You see, the state governments, instead of trying to manage in terms of ensuring that consumers don't leave their homes and comes and stands in the queue for days together, which you are reporting on the ground, the state government should feel ashamed that how they're allowing such citizens to come out of the house, and why not they sit in the godowns and in the retail outlets in the supply chain and ensure that they're reached at home, and they're reached efficiently and effectively at home, even if it means additional labor involved to reach these cylinders in a manner where bulk supplies can be made of the cylinders over a truck or in bulk form in mohallas, where citizens can come near their house and take it or reach it to their home. I feel that all these cylinders could be reached at home rather than making citizens get panicked and come and stand there for 4 days. You showed on your visual a woman was literally crying. I mean, this is shameful. This is shameful. I mean, this goes to show how inefficient the state governments are, because there are dedicated departments within the state government which looks into these kind of affairs, which talks about food, civil supplies and consumer affairs. They are the ones who should be today. What are those inspectors doing? I mean, where are those people who have been paid fat salaries, remunerations, amenities to look after the citizens? Where are they? They should be standing in queues in this go down. I mean, this is shameful.
Absolutely.
This is just shameful.
Absolutely.
Why should people be made to come out of their house?
Absolutely.
Now,
absolutely. Sir, it's time for a short break, because once I'm back from the break, I'm going to show you another report, another 4-minute package we have made, and then I'm going to ask you how to remove the bottlenecks, solution-oriented question. But after a short break.
हमें स्वस्थ रखने वाली सारी चीजें ज्यादातर शुद्ध होनी चाहिए। सूर्य की किरणें और स्वच्छ पानी, वैसा ही है लाइन अरेबियन डेट्स। और अब लाइन लाइना डेट्स, इसमें फाइबर्स और विटामिन्स भी कुदरती हैं, जो देता है स्वास्थ्य भी कुदरती।
Lion Lina Premium Dates.
Someone to bring your vision into reality. When human vision meets artificial intelligence, storytelling enters new territory. 2 distinct categories: brand films, short films, evaluated by the best of the best, seen by those who shape the industry, rewarded with a 10 lakh rupee prize pool, celebrated at What India Thinks Today, Delhi.
AI Squared Awards, where artificial intelligence meets artistic imagination.
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
Problems are being reported across India, whether it's Noida, whether it's Hyderabad, whether it's Pune, whether it's Bangalore, whether it's Chennai, whether it's Mumbai. These are the reports which we are getting it across the country. And we had showed you through our multi-window that these problems are not limited to one part of this country. These problems are across the country. So when we talk about Noida, Mumbai, Bhopal, Basti, Jaipur, Lucknow, we are talking about people's expectations. We are talking about anxiety of the people. We are talking about the fact that somehow it needs to be explained that it's a global problem, global issue. We are dependent on Strait of Hormuz for the 60% of our gas imports, and out of that 60% is foreign imports, and out of that 90% comes from the Strait of Hormuz. So it's a pretty peculiar problem, which is not of the India's making, which is not of the government's making, but then something needs to be done about it. My young colleague Nupur filed this report from Noida.
This is 16-year-old Ashish, walking under the scorching sun in Noida with an empty LPG cylinder. He says this is his second trip to the gas agency today, hoping to finally get a refill.
घर में सिलेंडर खाली है तो खाना वाना बनाना है, इसलिए लेकर जा रहे हैं।
तो मतलब घर पे अभी सिलेंडर नहीं है?
नहीं।
और अभी कहाँ लेके जाओगे इसको?
ये आगे सेक्टर का वो 71 में एक बालाजी नाम का मंदिर है, वहाँ पे मतलब लेकर जाना है, वहाँ पे भरेगा गैस। और एक बार सुबह आए थे तो मतलब सुबह नहीं मिला था।
आते हैं लेकिन सिलेंडर मिल नहीं पाता, सब घंटे घंटे लाइन में खड़े रहते हैं, भीड़ लगी रहती है, लेकिन कोई आता ही नहीं है सिलेंडर लेके।
नॉर्मली कितने पैसों में लेते हो सिलेंडर?
नॉर्मली तो 100 रुपये का 1 किलो भरता है, 900 रुपये, लेकिन अभी जो क्या कहते हैं सिलेंडर जब खाली हो जाता है तो यहाँ पे छोटी मोटी दुकान खुली रहती हैं, जिनसे हम 100 रुपये किलो भरते हैं तो वो भी 300 रुपये बेच रहे हैं।
The crisis thousands of kilometers away is now hitting Indian kitchens. Since the joint US-Israeli strikes on Iran on February 28, disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz have squeezed crude and LPG supplies to India.
मैं बोली सर सुबह 9 बजे से खड़ी हूँ धूप में, मेरा हालत खराब हो रहा है, दे दो सिलेंडर, घर में खाना नहीं बना है, कल शाम को खत्म हो गया।
350 में 1 किलो भरवाया हमने, 1 किलो भरवाई है हमने, जब खाना बनाया
1 किलो से ज्यादा दे ही नहीं है दुकान वाले।
क्या 1 किलो से ज्यादा?
1 किलो से ज्यादा नहीं दे रहे, वो भी 300 रुपए किलो, 350 रुपए किलो। और जो पहले लाइन लगे तो उनको मिल गए, हमें 8 बजे आए लगे, मिला ही नहीं। अब कह रहे गाड़ी आएगी तो मिलेगा, नहीं गाड़ी आई तो नहीं मिलेगा।
आज चौथा दिन है, आ रहे हैं जा रहे हैं, ये कभी उस जगह भेज देते हैं, कभी उस जगह भेज देते हैं।
भूखे प्यासे बच्चे मर रहे, सिलेंडर नहीं दे रहे।
200-250 सिलेंडर खाली बटे हैं, बस उसके बाद में आज की डेट खत्म हो गई। अब कह रहे कल आओ।
कुछ भी ना खा रहे अभी तो, क्या कुछ आप कह रहे रोजे को, हमारा रोजा है, हमारा रोजे में वो नहीं है, काय से खोलेंगे, काय से हम खाएंगे, क्या बनाएंगे, नहीं है सिलेंडर, कहाँ से खा रहे?
उधर से आते हैं और लेके चले जाते हैं, हम लोगों को नहीं मिलती है।
कौन लेके चले जाते हैं?
लोकल के यहाँ के। हाँ, ब्लैक कर रहे हैं सिलेंडर।
Small businesses are among the worst hit. Tea stall owners and shopkeepers say they are stretching the last bit of LPG left. भैया कितने दिन की गैस बची है?
बस आज लास्ट है, बस यही अभी जो जितना 1-8 घंटे चल जाए वही बहुत है।
और फिर उसके बाद क्या करोगे?
कल से बंद है दुकान, कल से क्लोज।
इनके लिए काम करते हैं आप?
हाँ जी।
तो ये तो बोल रहे हैं कि दुकान बंद हो जाएगी, क्या करोगे आप?
घर चले जाएंगे बंद करके।
अब सिलेंडर मिल नहीं रहा है, कहाँ से मंगवाऊंगा? सिलेंडर मिल नहीं रहा है, 3000 तक मिल रहे हैं, 5000 तक मिल रही है, कहाँ से मंगवाऊँ मैं?
क्या सिचुएशन है? गैस सिलेंडर मिल रही है?
नहीं मिल रही है।
तो फिर अभी कैसे मैनेज कर रहे हो?
अभी पहले का ही थोड़ा धरा है, सब उसी से कर रहे हैं, नहीं खाना भी नहीं है घर पे तो हमारे पे।
With cylinders running dry, many households are shifting to induction stoves. But electronic shops say even those are quickly going out of stock due to surging demand.
इंडक्शन की सेल ओवरऑल बहुत अच्छी गई है, गैस की कमी होने के कारण तो इसका आउट ऑफ स्टॉक चला गया। जितने भी स्टोर हैं, क्रोमा, रिलायंस, लगातार कस्टमर आ रहे हैं इंडक्शन पर, मिल नहीं पा रहा इंडक्शन। प्राइस अभी स्टॉक ही नहीं है तो हाइक ब्लैक कर रहे हैं लोग उसको, एमआरपी ऑन एमआरपी से भी ऊपर बेच रहे हैं।
For families and small businesses in Noida, the global conflict is now a daily struggle to keep the kitchen running. India imports 85 to 90% of its LPG. Out of that, 60 to 65% comes strictly from West Asia. As of now, the Indian government says that the situation is completely under control. But the people that we spoke to on ground have a different story to tell. Shopkeepers say if the gas situation does not come to normal, they will probably have to shut down and go back home.
So let me straight away go to Professor Bijan. Professor Mishra, what needs to be done? Where is the solution, sir?
Very good. Good question. Very good question. You see, the solution is that all these guys who, as I said, are responsible to ensure that the supply chain is not disrupted should be taken to task.
Okay.
Their heads should roll. What were they doing all these days? In a click of a button, they would come to know how much of stock is lying where and how and in what manner. And all the criminals who are trying to hoard at this point of time and sell much more than what is the MRP should be taken to task. I don't see anybody getting arrested. I don't see any raids taking place. I don't see any kind of a mechanism which will bring trust to the citizens that if I sit at home, I will get my cylinder because somebody is monitoring it. Where are those regulators who are supposed to be ensuring that the people should be working to monitor in the interest of the citizens? Where are they today? I mean, all the years when the things are good, they take salary sitting at home, and today when they need to work 24/7, I don't see them working. I mean, what does it mean? It means that the system in the state government has collapsed. Consumer protection is not their priority. Let me tell you.
Okay.
I know this for the last 40 years. state governments do not give any priority to consumer protection because they don't get any fat kickbacks out of consumer protection.
Okay. Okay.
What I want to tell you today on your channel is that consumer protection has to become a priority in the state government, which is not there, unfortunately. I have covered all the 36 states and union territories.
Okay.
And I know how they work. They have no sympathy for the consumers who pay for all these activities which go on the ground, for which fat salaries are paid, amenities are paid by the consumers.
Okay, okay. I'll come back to you, but before that, let me play out what the government has to say, because the government has been briefing the press on a daily basis, where senior officers from Ministry of External Affairs, Information Broadcasting, and all ministries are present. So let me put out what the government had to say.
As a temporary demand management measure, the minimum gap between LPG booking has been increased from 21 days to 25 days. At field level, ONC officers and anti-adulteration cell are coordinating enforcement to clear distributor backlog and ensure smooth delivery. अंत में मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी कि ये एक वैश्विक चुनौतीपूर्ण स्थिति है, लेकिन भारत की ईंधन आपूर्ति नियंत्रण में है। सरकार स्थिति पर लगातार नजर रख रही है और घरों और प्राथमिकता वाले क्षेत्रों की सुरक्षा के लिए आवश्यक कदम उठा रही है। हम नागरिकों से आग्रह करते हैं कि वे घबराकर बुकिंग करने से बचें, अधिकारियों के साथ सहयोग करें और वैश्विक अनिश्चितता की इस अवधि के दौरान जहां संभव हो ईंधन का संरक्षण करें।
So, the government cannot be blamed for everything. The crisis in the Strait of Hormuz is because of the Israel and America pounding Iran. And Iran is choking off the energy supplies because obviously Iran wants to tell the world that, you will also share the pain which, we as a country are facing, because what America has done is completely unprecedented. They took out the entire chain of command in 24 hours thinking that they're going to do a Venezuela in Tehran. Now, keeping that aside, how long do you think that India can sustain a disruption like this? And do you think, in your opinion, alternative fuels, alternative cooking arrangements can buffer the need for an LPG, or it's simply impossible?
No, you see, I am a firm believer. You just heard the officer from the Petroleum Ministry giving data. I firmly believe that people at the center are working day and night. They are not sleeping. They are actually keeping minute-to-minute tracking. Where I get very disturbed is that kind of work which is being done at the center doesn't get trickled down on the ground at the state level. And I get worried about that. And what I see is, on the ground level, nobody is having any empathy towards the consumer. I mean, they are not able to even tell the consumer that, I heard in your channel, this is the first time I heard that people buy in kgs. They go and fill up in kgs and they pay 100 rupees per kg, which they are paying 300 rupees today. Now, they are giving on camera this evidence, and where is the police? Where are those agencies which are supposed to catch these criminals who are taking advantage of these kind of situations? This is the time when they need to expose them. They have to catch them, they have to punish them, they have to give a strong signal to the citizens that they are working. I don't see them working. I have not seen in camera any government official at the state level talking to you. I have not heard that till now. Your reporters must be going at the states to talk to them. I'm sure they're refusing them. They don't want to come in the camera because they know they have done a serious mistake. They are not able to synchronize with what the central government is doing.
Or is it something like, if you recall the famous book of P. Sainath, everyone loves a good drought. Everyone loves a good crisis. So even if, the crisis can be sustained, absorbed, you create an artificial crisis so that the profits happen.
Yes. You see, that is why Essential Commodities Act has come into force. Why do we need these laws? We need these laws to catch these criminals. And that is why it has come into force. But I have not seen the state governments acting on that. What I want to see in camera is how many state government officials have visited the godowns, audited the stocks, audited the supply chain, and coordinated with the empowered committee which has been constituted in the Delhi government, in terms of having a day-to-day meeting with them, day-to-day monitoring with them. You know, they are trying their best to ensure that the supplies reach the shores.
But Professor Mishra, what should be done? You know, if you look at what happened in pandemic, poor people suffer. You know, from cities the migration happened. Now the entire effort of our reportage was to show that the people, you know, the vendors, people who earn their wages or life through daily chore, they are the ones getting affected. So, you know, you have been in this business for more than 40 years. You understand this. How can they be helped? You know, people who have to work daily to eat in the evening.
This is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. I hope the chief ministers of the states are listening to us. I only hope they're listening to us. Because the bottom line is, you see, my experience has been that consumer protection at the state level is zero. In fact, sub-zero. You know, they don't bother about the consumer. Let me tell you that. And all the hard-earned money which the consumer earns and they pay, you know, goes to those people who are criminals. They are criminals who are today trying to profit here. They need to be taken to task. You see, what I am trying to tell you is, I heard the common man speaking. I can see in your visual, the women crying. I can understand their pain. Now the question is that pain trickling down to the chief minister? Is the chief minister trying to do something about it? Is he reviewing it? How many chief ministers are reviewing it? I want to see on television how many chief minister comes out with the data to tell us what is happening. You know, none of the chief minister I see are talking to you.
You know, Professor, if you look at the data, the induction cooking sets are not available. Not available. There are certain products which you will not find them on sites like Blinkit. They're not available. You know, many other sites, you know, 10 minutes, 20-minute sites are not available. If you believe me, you know, when I was coming today, I generally go for a swim every morning. When I was coming back at 8 from sector 119, you know, I got a call from my wife, say, can you rush, you know, something needs to be done. And I found myself surrounded by so many people on the road. I thought maybe some big accident had taken place. And I found so many autos and two-wheelers. I was slightly baffled at 8 a.m., 8:10, why was it so? And suddenly I realized on the left-hand side, there was a queue. And that queue was more than 100 meters long. And then suddenly I realized that it was a queue like this, where people were standing with the cylinders, they were sitting on it. It was the longest queue I saw. And it was 8 in the morning, and the entire people from the JJ cluster, very poor people, they had come out thinking that they need to have the gas. And they were saying that, boss, this assurance doesn't work because we are not getting the gas and our gas is over. Yes, I understand that there is an anxiety. There's an anxiety. People will say, okay, I need one, let me take two. But there were people who had none, sir.
So, Kartiya, let me explain to you. It's very simple. It is no rocket science. It's arithmetic. You see, people who are using fuel every day, they need fuel every day for their cooking, for their food. Now they have also a limitation. They don't stock. They don't have money to stock for extra cylinders. They may have an extra cylinder, but they may not have the money to have that extra cylinder as a buffer. Many people can't afford it. Now, naturally, you know, their stock will run out if you don't supply and you suddenly extend the booking from 21 to 25. But then on ground, actually what is happening is not what the truth is. The truth is that it is not 25. It is much more. Because the whole supply chain has got disrupted by those criminals who are profiteering today.
Absolutely.
You see, if supposing the supply would have been done in a proper systematic manner, which can be done through technology. Today we have technology. Earlier days I can understand.
I completely agree with you. I've run short of time, but you know, something needs to be done. There has to be a crackdown at the level of the state. I mean to say, you really have a point that, you know, those chokeholds need to be done away with. And some backup arrangement needs to kick into action, because if you don't act on it now, it will really have a cascading effect on poor people. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me.
No, it's nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Because the points you made were very strong and very straightforward and very, very pertinent. So this is all I could